Let's talk about flushing your plants before harvest. Is it outdated? Come on, let's see what the real science says. Hey, but before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Grow Lab. If you want to connect with the best growers from all over the world, get tips and tricks on how to grow the dankest plants possible, and not have to worry about the censorship we get from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Go check out realgrowlab.com. Get all kinds of great Grow Talk Q&A. Plus, see all the stuff YouTube won't let me show you in these videos. Sign up and join our growing community over at realgrowlab.com. Or download the app at the Apple or Android App Store. Now let's get back to today's video. Come on, High C, let's debunk the myths here, man.
All right, so this is a contested one.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get lots of comments on this one.
I only really started getting into growing when I met up with you.
Right.
And I've never flushed my plants, but then I hear people that they kind of cringe up when I say that I don't flush.
Yeah, you know, I started growing in the early 90s and you had to flush, and it really matters the media you're using. When we say flush, we're talking about flushing the nutrients out of the media. People do it the last couple weeks, and the idea is you don't want to be smoking all that nutrient. You know what? I've had bud that crackled before and had that much nutrient left in it. So let's agree that you don't want to be smoking bud with a whole bunch of, I'm going to be very specific and say nitrogen in it, okay? Nitrogen is the big one that really hurts the flavor. It gives you that green chlorophyll kind of taste.
Mm-hmm. So it throws off the flavor. I've also noticed if there is too much nitrogen at the end, sometimes it smokes a little bit differently too.
Oh, yeah, you'll get that. Well, yeah, you will get like a different kind of ash to it. It's like something's in there that did not burn.
Okay, so the idea is flushing. You want to get that excess nutrient out the last couple of weeks before you harvest. And how do we typically do that if you are a proponent of flushing?
Flushing is just giving the plant plain water. Sometimes they'll give it some kind of enzyme, but mostly just giving it plain water. And the idea is you're washing the nutrient out.
And you started the video off with, isn't an outdated idea. I know that from conversations, you said you used to be a huge proponent of flushing.
Yeah, because I used to use, remember the last video? If you're not watching these in order, the last video we talked about cation exchange capacity, or CEC. It was the ability of the soil or the media to hold onto that nutrient particle. That's a big, the media that you have or that you choose has different holding capacities, different cation exchange capacities. What I was using, remember I came from deep water culture, which is no media. So therefore you can wash that off the roots very easily. You can wash those nutrients off the roots and dilute them. Then I went to rock wool. And rock wool is the same thing. It's ground up rock, or it's spun rock. So it doesn't have a bunch of nutrient holding capacity. So you can wash that nutrient right off.
And you're talking about specifically when people are mixing their nutrient in with their water.
Right.
In deep water, those roots are just sitting in that water with that nutrient mixed in.
Yeah, and rock wool, think about washing it off a rock with a hose. Very easy, right? There's nothing bonding it to there. And now go into what I'm growing in now. I grow in cocoa core, but whether you grow in cocoa, peat, organic, all those have a very strong negative, or they have the ability to hold a lot of nutrient. That's why it takes a lot of water to flush out some medias, because they're bonded in there.
So flushing in like deep water or in rock wool, you just add some water and it flushes it right out. But if you're growing in cocoa or organic or something like that, you can flush, but it's not really doing anything.
No, these things are double bonded to the media, or calcium and magnesium, and all those things, man, are double bonded to the media. Not double bonded, they're bonded to the media. So just washing them off is going to take a lot of water.
Okay, let's talk about a couple of other aspects of this, because not only does it seem ineffective with a lot of the stuff that people are growing, but you've also taught me a couple of things about where it really isn't even necessary.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say that there's an 8-week flowering cycle. So if you are flushing for 2 weeks, You ready? I'm going to do math. That's 25% of your flowering cycle that you're not giving it nutrients. Now, those plants do slow down. By the time it's a big deal that these are annual plants, by the time they're getting to late in flowering, they are old and they are slowing down and they are just basically trying to get through the process of making a seed.
Mm-hmm. And Jaron from New Mill, he was telling me about something called senescence.
Yeah, the senescence means the plant is getting old, it's dying.
It's just not as hungry anymore.
Not only is it not as hungry, don't forget those microbes and that soil, everything working in the soil, that all comes from the plant pumping sugars down to it. Think about it, man. That plant is about, it's a couple weeks away from dying. It is not pumping down sugars as much. So what's that mean? Those microbes that protect and colonize all over those roots, well, they're not going to push up nutrients anymore. The exchange has slowed. And that's called senescence.
So the microbes aren't getting the sugar, so they're not making the trade to push those nutrients in.
So guess what they're doing with the nutrients? They're just holding them, man. They're making more microbes. They're making proteins out of them. They're holding them because what normally happens in nature is a seed will drop from that plant and then another plant will grow.
Okay, so it seems like the idea is we want to make sure we're not getting all of those excess nutrients. And which nutrient in particular?
Nitrogen is the real culprit.
Okay, so we want to make sure we're not pumping our plants full of nitrogen, especially at the end. But it seems like with the microbes and with growing in some other media, it seems like that's already being taken care of by itself.
With the 3 bottles, the Grow Micro and Bloom, you're saying?
Well, specifically, instead of flushing the nutrients out, the plant, the microbes, the media that we're growing in, they're kind of already doing that same effect.
We definitely want to keep the nitrogen down as you get closer and closer to harvest, closer to senescence. It doesn't need that much nitrogen. Nitrogen's for aggressive growth.
But it sounds like even if there's still nitrogen in the
it'll
media,
eat it. Yeah, nitrogen's very easily assimilated by the plant.
Mm-hmm. But even so, it seems like once it gets to that end point, the microbes and the soil are preventing it from going into the plant.
That is a big deal. Thank you for the softball, sir. But it really is. When you have cation exchange capacity and you have a bunch of soil microbes there, those microbes are either able to hold that nutrient, just what we were talking about for the next generation, or they're able to release it. And these things are alive. They want to stay alive, and they have some kind of, they know when they're hungry. They know when they're being fed and when they're not being fed.
Man, I feel like we should use this video to plug Recharge, so I'm just going to plug it at the end. Recharge makes a lot of this stuff possible.
Yeah, all those microbes in the soil take care of the hard work for you. They take care of the balance. They can either hold that nutrient or they can release it based on the signals that they're getting. It's huge. But that is just my 2 cents on the matter. I use Grow Dots so I keep the right nutrient at the right time. I use Recharge so if there is some nutrient left over in the soil late in flowering, it sequesters it and holds it. And then I match the media. So I grow in cocoa with a bunch of organic materials in there, and it holds the nutrients where I want. It does exactly what I want and gives me dank harvests. So I don't worry about flushing anymore, but what about you? Are you still flushing? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, share this video with another grower you know, and check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending. I think you'll dig them.